So we need to talk about this FISA memo. I read the redacted memo this morning. It didn't matter that I couldn't see names and that I couldn't, there's a lot of classified things that were blacked out. It didn't matter. I got all the information that I needed to be totally pissed off. And if you're not, after what I explained to you, well, just don't even worry about it then. Okay, so just for a quick summary of what actually happened, and you can get this from anybody on YouTube or whatever, the news, whatever, what happened. Okay, so the Obama administration, okay, these people, Obama, Valerie Jarrett, his senior advisor, Jim Comey, Rod Rosenstein, Loretta Lynch, Susan Rice, they were all involved in this. Basically, they made a total fool out of the FISA courts. I mean, if you were to read this document, I mean, it's just con artisty, just... And, I think about all the times that I've heard, Obama didn't hear about this or that until he heard it on the news, and Hillary was the same thing, the same way. The FISA memo was the same thing. They asked for permission to surveil Donald Trump because they had recorded conversations between him and Putin, which is total lies. Whatever, the first time they told the FISA courts, they were denied, that, which was a total shock because they grant 99% of what they're asked. Well, they were not allowed to get to surveil, so they hired, the DNC and Hillary Clinton hired, and this is total proof, Fusion GPS to produce this dossier, who hired this guy named Christopher Steele to produce the dossier. And what it said was Trump hired prostitutes to urinate on some bed that Obama slept in Russia. It's just total whacked out, total weirdness for somebody to be able to come up with something like that. But it was proven that Hillary Clinton and the DNC paid for the dossier. Well, they used this dossier in order to get the FISA warrant. And by the way, they knew it was false, of course, and they leaked it to Yahoo News, who knew it was false. Everybody knew it was false. But they did not tell the FISA court that they knew it was fake, obviously, or they wouldn't have been able to get the surveillance. There's a lot of rigmarole that went on, like they were only supposed to surveil Putin and Trump, but somehow they ended up surveilling what they call upstream internet data, raw data, which covered the whole entire United States. They meant to do this because after, in the FISA memo, we find out, you don't even hear anything else about Trump and Putin. The problem is they got this raw data and they surveilled every single. They gathered all of the data that they could, every bit of internet data. From that point in 2016, and the way I'm understanding it, the deadline, when they were supposed to stop their surveillance would have been April the 18th. Who knows? They're probably still doing it now. Who knows? I don't know. But they lied about this, saying that there was some sort of, since they were only supposed to surveil those two people, that they got the complete, entire internet data of the whole entire United States, and their excuse was their operations systems on their computers were not able to do that for some reason, and they would just take this big chunk, store it on hard drives, sort through and find any Putin and Trump references through all of the United States, and then dump the rest of it, which and I know they are not going to do that. They didn't do that. So when they got this, all of this data, somehow or another, they gave it to the NSA gave it to the National Center for Terrorists, something or other, National Terrorist, anyway, National Center for Counterterrorism or something like that. I'm sorry, I guess I should have looked it up before I tried to record this video, but the NSA gave all of that raw data on hard drives to the National Center for Counterterrorism. Now, if you think back, who did the Obama administration consider terrorists? The Tea Party, conservative Christians, pro-life people, the normal American, right? That's who they were trying to brand terrorists. Okay, so what's the big deal? All right, now let me just point out the time period. They started doing this before the elections. They started way back, like in early 2016, trying to get all of the data, trying to, it wasn't an accident that they ended up getting all of the internet data from the United States, okay? This was before the election, and they were so sure that Hillary was going to win. They were banking on it. What was so... Well, first, I know, and I just want to smack them when I hear them. So many people say, I don't care if they got my data. I don't have anything to hide. Whatever. Do you really think they're just trying to see what you're looking at on your cell phone? Do you really think they care that you're scrolling through porn sites? They don't care. That's not what they were looking for. Why would they break the law? One of the comments in the FISA memo was the judges were very concerned about the excessive breaches of Fourth Amendment protocol, things like that. They were committing felonies left and right, according to this memo. Do you really think that they would do that just to find out what porn sites you're watching or what you're doing? No. The Obama administration considered evangelical Christians, the Tea Party, pro-lifers, everything good as terrorists. Here's what I think. Putting together all of the information, the Georgia Guidestones, what we know about Hillary was trying to do, she was beating the war drums with Russia. Just looking at the big picture and putting everything together and expanding my thinking. They didn't just want to see what sites you were looking for. They put a lot of effort into doing this, into gaining the internet information of every single American. And knowing that they had this counter coup in action, knowing what I know about the UN and what they're doing having researched since 2010, what they were trying to do is take over this coup. They intended to take over the government. They intended handing the United States over to the UN. Do you think that they expected for 1 minute that we would just lay down and die? No. They were looking for the allegiances of every American. They wanted to know who would stand up against them and who would roll over and play dead. This is why you should be angry, because they wanted to know where your allegiances lie. They wanted to know whether you were a Christian or whether you were not. They wanted to know whether you were a veteran or not. They wanted to know if you were conservative or not. They wanted to know those things so they would know who to throw a bridle on once they started taking over. And I can tell you, knowing how big the Clinton body count is, they would not have had any issues at all of 187ing us. 187ing us. I guarantee you. That's why you should be madder than a hornet. And I guarantee you, those congressmen that first looked at that memo, they were saying on the news that some of the congressmen looked visibly ill, visibly disturbed on the cameras that they had, the surveillance cameras in the room with the memo. Why do you think that they would try to ram a train with government officials in it? Why do you think they're acting so stupid? Why do you think they have put so much effort into creating, the rioting and the dissonance, the Operation Mockingbird? Why do you think? I don't care what you say. That was a missile strike against Hawaii, and the missile was intercepted. That definitely would be something I would try to cover up. I wouldn't want anybody to know that I was ready to take them over. We've heard about the FEMA camp. They were wanting to know through that internet surveillance who to put in the camps. It's not a conspiracy theory anymore. It is a conspiracy fact. And if you still think that this is fake, my friend, you are stupid. You just don't know how close we came to losing everything. That's why they're acting so stupid and telling these lies and just making total fools of themselves. This is definitely worth them doing what they're doing, because now they're fighting for their lives. They've been exposed, and you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. They know that we know. Now they're just crossing their fingers and hoping that we'll all stay asleep and think something as stupid as, well, I don't care. I don't have anything to hide. No, you don't. Yeah, you didn't hide that you were a Christian. You didn't hide that you were a veteran. You didn't, if you didn't hide all that stuff, it's too late. They've got your number. Now, do you really think that they're going to offer up their wrists and say, here you go, handcuff me, I'm ready to go to Gitmo? No, they're going to fight like cornered rats. And you just better be ready. Don't you think they're going to go away quietly, because I promise you they're not. You better be ready. 2 weeks worth of food, 2 weeks worth of water. Pray and stay out of the way.